Question number 5. A particle of mass 1 kilogram undergoes simple harmonic motion and its potential energy changes with displacement from a fixed point as shown here. So what we need to determine is the amplitude, the period, and the velocity of the particle when y is equal to 0.10. So remember, every time you see a graph, you will always going to be extracting information from its x and y axis. Okay, so from the x axis, what do we get? We get the amplitude, which is equal to 0.15 meter. Next, from the y axis, we get the potential energy, maximum potential energy basically, to be equal to 18 joule. Okay, another thing that you will get is when y is equal to 0.8, u is equal to 8 joule. Itu pun information yang kamu dapat lah. So what do we need to determine is the amplitude. So we've written down that one there. So amplitude is equal to 0.15 meter. Next, we have to determine the period. So how do we determine the period from the potential energy punya graph? Okay, so if we think about it, we can't really get anything that has to do with time if we look at the graph. But if you remember, potential energy gives you the angular frequency. So if you remember the formula, u is equal to half m omega square y square. So from this omega, what we can get is we can get the period. So how do we get it? We get it from this formula here. So if we get the value of angular frequency, we will then get the value of period. So sekarang ni kita punya what we need to do is we need to find using this equation lah. Okay, so u is equal to 18 joule when y is equal to 0.15. So that is 0.18. Sorry, why would it be 0.18? It's 18. M is 1. Omega is what we are looking for. Y is 0.15 square. So if you don't want to use 18 joule, you could also use 8 joule. Just make sure your Y is equal to 0.1, not 0.15. Okay? So it should tally lah. Mana satu yang kamu mo guna. Kalau 18 joule, mesti guna 0.15. Kalau mo guna 8 joule, mesti mo guna 0.10 meter. Okay? Alright, so dari sini kamu akan dapat the angular frequency to be equal to 40 radian per second. So substitute that into here. Sorry. You will get that the period is equal to 0.16 seconds. So period sudah dapat. Macam tu saja. Next, we have to calculate the the velocity of the particle when y is equal to, what is the velocity? Okay. So balik pa ni. V at y is equal to 0.1 meter. Alright, so how do we find that one? You can apply the equation of we cannot I don't want to use that. Let me just think. We could directly use so that gives you 40. A is 0.15. Okay, so I'm just gonna double check if this solution, the value is gonna be similar to the one in the answer scheme. Yes, it is the same. Okay, so dapatlah 4.47 meter per second. So from the answer scheme, you could also use the formula of kinetic energy. So if the relationship is, we know that energy is going to be equal to kinetic energy minus the potential energy. So From here, you will get the kinetic energy. The total energy from the graph is 18 joule minus with 8 joule. So you dapat the kinetic energy equal to 10 joule. So dari sini kita mau akan dapat half mv square. So dari sini just guna v. So dapat cari v. So dapat juga 4.47 meter per second. But honestly, I would suggest you just directly use this one. Sebab you have everything. So why would you cari like it's an additional step to your solution lah. Okay, because you have your angular frequency, you have your amplitude, you have the value of y that is asked. So why not just directly use this, right? Why would you add an extra step in your solution? Okay, right, so that is on question number 5.